Yeah.
How are we doing, guys? A bit of a different location, if you can probably tell. I am in Malaga. I am in the sunny Malaga at this moment in time on holiday. Loving life, but not loving the results at this moment in time. Look, it's a defeat. It's the first game of the Jesse Marsh era. I'm here with the main man, 𝐃𝐿. But look, it's a defeat, but there's been positives from that today. Get your comments in early doors, guys. 𝐃𝐿. Yeah, I didn't think we were too bad today. I think we've said this a couple of times, but genuinely very unlucky to not get at least something from that.
Yeah, I think so. I think we're deserving of the very least a point. It comes down to, again, one team not taking the chances and the other one manages to take one of theirs. That's what today's come down to. A fit Patrick Bamford, who's probably only a week away, and we win that today for me. I think he buries a couple of those. I'm also going to say I thought it was a penalty.
I agree.
Out for a couple of penalties actually. But
I think we've been done by VAR again. To be totally honest with you, I think we've been totally done by VAR again. Good performance, bad results, quite a common thing coming in here. Just not enough genuine quality, and that's the frustration for me. I thought, looking at that front four we started with, Raf, Jack Harrison, Dan James, Rodrigo. Yeah, you probably have Bamford in there if everyone's fully fit. But I think that should be enough. One of them should be able to do something to really change that game for us from that point of view. And I think the longer it went on at 0-0, I was starting to think, we've had this story before so many times under Bielsa, so many times as Leeds United, and that just kind of sums it up. But guys, keep hitting that like button. We are going to be, it's not going to be as long as usual, this live post-match. I'm a little bit worse for wear, as you can probably tell. Cheap holiday to Malaga, you can kind of imagine. But yeah, it's a couple of comments coming in, but I think the big eyes now are on the other results today. Hopefully, we get it going forwards a little bit.
Yeah, I think so, mate. It's I think the more important games than today. What I wanted, my first port of call today was to see an improvement in our structure, how we defend, and I saw that today. So there's a lot of positives there to take. How we reacted when we lost the ball, the way we just dropped 5-10 yards, reset, got our shape, and then pressed as a unit. So there's lots of positives, and the more important games are right on the doorstep now. I think we need to get something against Villa, and then obviously we've got some really winnable games off the back of that. So I'm quite positive after today. I was genuinely scared of this game, as you know, under the old regime. I'm not trying to throw shade. I just think the players have given up. It's as much on them as it is the previous manager. But a lot of positives today. I thought some really good. I think Dan James looks good in the way we play here. Yeah. He's going to be utilised on the break.
First half, I thought he's probably one of the best bits of football I think he's played for Leeds United, to be totally honest with you. It was like watching the kind of Swansea version of Dan James. Everything was just lively, wasn't it? Fast. And that's another thing today. I just thought everything we did was with intense speed, and just sometimes it didn't quite come off. Sometimes maybe, passes maybe just went a little bit astray. But again, it's a totally different system. This is a thing to point out. We've gone from being a man-to-man marking team that's just going to try and play that way, and has played that way for 3.5 years, to something very, very different. It's not so much that we run less now. We're maybe a little bit more efficient in how we try and run for the ball, kind of thing. As you were kind of saying, we drop off when we feel like we can't press, we drop off and just make sure they can't play through us. And let's just caveat as well, Chris, Youri Tielemans, Jamie Vardy, Harvey Barnes, 𝐅𝐎𝐻𝐿, who assisted the goal, Lookman. Yeah. This is a team that was, look, it's not had a great season this season, but look, they're still in the top half of the table. They've got a really good coach in there. They're a couple of points off the top four in recent years. It's a good team this we've played. There was this narrative beforehand that this is an easy run of games, or this is not a difficult run of games. This is a very, very tough place to start this first game, because there's a little bit of expectation. But really, look at man for man, Leicester have probably got that little bit of extra quality on us at this moment in time. But I think that's got to be mentioned as well, 𝐃𝐿, surely.
Yeah, 100% agree, mate. I think fans get excited because obviously new manager in, and we generally, as a fan base, not just ours, any fan base, all of a sudden expect, we're going to go now, we're going to get that new manager bounce, and we're going to go and beat the next 3 teams automatically. And it's not as simple as that. But for me, in the few days that Jesse's had in charge, You can see that the players are taking on board what he's trying to implement. So obviously the players aren't in a hangover from Marcelo, etc. They've taken to the new manager and the coaching staff and are trying to implement it. And it's going to take 3-4 games for that, at least, for it to be fully implemented. I think it's credit to the new manager that he's making small changes and not trying to destroy the players with completely changing everything that he wants to change. So there's a lot of positives there. I am disappointed today, but I think we should have had 2 penalties looking back. If you remember, click on Rudiger against Chelsea. What's the difference between the Soyuncu on Rodrigo?
Absolutely none. Absolutely
nothing,
it's,
is there?
It's just a lack of consistency, isn't it? It's just a lack of consistency. It just seems to be, I know every team's going to say this, but it just seems to have gone against us more often than not this season. Even that West Ham offside goal, I'm looking back on, little decisions like that, and they are the ones that could really cost you. But look, in terms of the goal difference, it's not took as much of a battering. That's a positive. It's not took as much of a battering. It's still, look, end of the day, that goal difference is the elephant in the room. It's something that's we're probably not going to have time to improve enough now. It's going to have to. We're going to have to win games. We can't just rely on draws and obviously bits and pieces like that. But a couple of comments about where's the quality coming from or the goals coming from. But I'd still say, you look at over the season, Rafinha, look, we know he's a top player. It wasn't maybe Rafinha's best day today. I think he was involved. I think he was probably more involved than what he has been in the last few weeks. Just that end product, which we very, very rarely say about Rafinha. It's not a common thing. Dan James, Jack Harrison, yes. But I still think they're going to improve, I still feel, in the new roles in this team. Rodrigo, yeah, I still think there's enough there. I do think there's enough there. And obviously, Joffrey coming off the bench. Good to see. I think we'll see more of Joffrey as the season goes on. It wouldn't surprise me if he starts one of the next 2 games because we know Jesse will rotate things more to keep up with this kind of high intense style of football. And obviously Bamford's come back, and Phillips is obviously going to improve the midfield. If your midfield improves, you get better service into the front players. Things like this, there's still a lot of positives to take. And look, Luke Ayling, I love Luke Ayling, but he's not a centre-back. I don't feel his best position's at centre-back. And I don't think he would have played at centre-back if other players had been available. So there's a lot of different caveats, I think, going into this game. And, just because we changed manager, the problems of availability and, in terms of injuries just doesn't suddenly go away because we've changed manager. That's a completely separate thing from the tactics and that lot. You have to look at what we've tried to do today. Can it be better with different players on the pitch? I think it can. And then with a bit more practice, look, we've got 2 games coming up pretty quick fire. If I'm Villa or Norwich looking at that, I'm thinking, oof, going to be a tough game, that. So, we might not get results, but we're going to make it tough for everyone, I feel. We've had 19 shots. They've had 5. Yes, you can't just go off stats, but that's pretty dominant for a first game. The fact we've only had a week to work together, it's been quite an emotional week. I think some of the players will probably still be in a little bit of shock, but I'm happy with what I've seen. And I've got to say, another major positive, Chris, Jesse Marsch is a tyre. Absolutely
strong, isn't it?
On point. Absolutely on point. Let's be positive now. Come on, how good is that tyre,
mate? I'm telling you, he's gonna run Pep into for best dressed. He is. We said that, didn't we? In the group, we're like, oh, man's got style.
That'll keep us up alone.
We sort of. I get what you're saying, Craig. If the teams below us win every game now, then yes, we're screwed. But the teams below us aren't going to win every game. We're not going to win every game. So it's very much in the balance. There's nothing just because we've changed managers that says we've all of a sudden we're automatically going to stay up. I wonder if we're going to write to the FA and ask for an apology, the Referees Association, ask for an apology like old whiny Frank. Today felt like one of those games where we just didn't get what we deserved, and I'd be far more distressed if I'd seen no change and no positive change from the last few games. So, and I think 𝐃𝐿𝐶𝐄 says it there. The fact that the winning team's man of the match was their goalkeeper tells you everything.
That's it, exactly. And it had to be him, didn't it? It had to be Schmeichel as well. It just had to be. But the thing is, look, we've got to remember it's going to be tough to stay up. It was always going to be a tough challenge to stay up. Look, Burnley have had a good last couple of weeks. Watford, you never know about. Obviously, they've got Hodgson in charge. A lot of experience at that bottom end of the table. No one's really fully down yet, which is quite rare. Even Norwich have got a relative. I don't think Norwich will stay up, but they've still got a relative mathematical chance, whatever way you want to put it. And Everton are down there, Newcastle are down there. Teams that have spent a lot of money. Let's be very clear about the fact it's going to be tough to stay up. If we stay up, it's a very impressive achievement for Marsh, considering. Look, the big pressure's on these next 5. We know after this next 5, we've then got the likes of City at home, Arsenal away, Chelsea at home in quite a big cluster. Even games like Brentford away and Palace away. It's tough games. Look, every game's tough at this level, but this is a bit of a... Yeah, I think we can't underestimate how tough this job's going to be in terms to keep us up. With obviously the injuries we've got too, the general lack of momentum we've got as a team at this moment in time. So we've got to remember that. We can't get too downhearted after one game. We've still got 11 games of football, almost a third of the season to go. And I've got to say, though, Chris, when I saw 𝐃𝐎𝐖𝐍𝐶 go to centre-back and 𝐾𝐃 go into midfield, I wasn't expecting that at the start of the game. I don't think it even got listed. The team didn't get listed anything like what started. And obviously, it was an interesting one. But I did think I thought 𝐾𝐃 and 𝐾𝐃 gave a really good account of themselves, to be honest, in that middle of the park. And obviously, Forsh came on. But I thought, they did all right. I thought we looked better in the middle, to be fair.
Oh, mate, far more solid. I think 𝐾𝐃, who's been asked to play that type of role before, but seemed to wander off and I don't know if he was following his man or whatever, but I thought he was far more disciplined today. I've liked Robin Koch in there for the last few games. I think he's looked sort of vastly improved. I don't think we'll see Luke Ayling at centre-back against Villa. I think there'll be a change there. I can see Ayling going back out to right-back and potentially Dallas moving into the midfield, or indeed even dropping out and a Forshaw starting, etc., etc. So we'll see how he shifts it around. But again, he's very keen on squad rotation, using the squad. So I think we've become used to seeing over the last 3.5 years the same team rolled out week in, week out. So automatically we're thinking, oh, well, those players have got to go again on Thursday. I think it'll be different. I think there'll be probably 3 or 4 changes at least. I think the 2 up front, I think at least one of them will change for the start against Villa.
The formation itself might change as well. We might even change formation. We might go to a back 3. There's a lot of different things. I think Marsh himself has said he likes 9 different formations. It's so we don't know. We might even change shape. It's I think either way, as you're saying, Chris, it's not one of those where we look at it and say that's the best we've possibly got. That's all we can go with. It's not the case now. We're going to try something a little bit different, I'm sure, the next game. And what do you make to this comment? This is an interesting little comment off Mark Jones, and there might be a theory.
Yeah, no, I think they all looked more sure today of what they were meant to be doing. I mean, we even saw Pascal catching people offside, stepping up at the last minute and then being caught offside. We used to rarely see that because one of the players would be off making everyone onside, tracking a man.
Yeah, exactly.
Whereas now we're seeing us play a flat back four, moving together. There was so many positives out there. A lot of people moan, oh, we've lost again, blah, blah, blah. And like I say, it's going to be, like you said as well, it's going to be tough to stay up this season. I don't think anyone on this channel's going, we're just going to survive now. But we can see the structure he's trying to put in place. And you add Calvin, even Coops to that, playing in a flat back four, a fit Bamford up top, who taking chances. And all of a sudden, things happen. And I'm just thinking from today, like what we saw in transition when we won the ball deep in our half, a Calvin there doesn't make the extra pass. He finds a wide man who's broken wide as we get the ball, because we know he's got that range of passing. So there's positives to take here, people. Yes, no one wants to lose, but it wasn't a hammering. And I think, we've taken a few hammerings recently. So let's 4 to 6 points out the next 2. And I think we'll be all far sort of happier, won't we?
That's it. I mean, we win that Villa game. This game gets looked at very differently. They look at this game. I think we all look at this game as like the game where, okay, we started to get to understand what we're trying to do now, over the next hopefully the next couple of years or so. But yeah, it was just a very interesting game to watch today because it's just been so long since we changed manager. It's not like Leeds United to to have someone in for so long, and that's why it's been a bit of a weird week in that kind of sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think there's been a couple of comments about the subs. I mean, I just think with obviously what we had on the bench with so many injuries, I think we were a bit limited to I think the subs were quite predictable. I think we all could predict and see that Forshaw coming on with maybe half an hour, 20 minutes to go was coming. Obviously Gelhardt coming on, pretty quickly, to be fair. Joffrey got a good 25 minutes under his belt again.
Yeah.
And there's just little different bits and pieces like that, really. And yeah, it's a hard one, isn't it?
I don't think Jesse will have seen this game as, he'd have liked to have gone out and won, but he said in his pre-match with BT Sport that he's not expecting perfection today. He wants to see the players fight, and he wants to see their desire. He wants to see some of the principles he's introduced being sort of carried out, but he didn't expect perfection. I think he was seeing this game as a where are we at type of game. And then he can adapt and change what needs to be changed for Villa and the other upcoming games, which are winnable games. Not saying today wasn't winnable. I think we deserved at least to draw out the game. But we've got to understand that he's coming in a really difficult situation. And for me, again, Twitter's Twitter. It's its own the atmosphere. But people have got to just back the manager, back the man now. We can see what he's trying to do. We look far better today than we have recently. We've got our big players coming back. He needs the fans on side. Ellen Road on Thursday needs to be absolutely bouncing for the man. And yes, there'll be Bielsa chants as there should be. We've got to say thank you to the man, but we've got to back this new man now and push this team on.
It's exactly that. And I think the other thing I'd say is that, the habits we got into, I think, the last couple of weeks, before obviously we made the change, where we're putting ourselves in trouble, in terms of when we're playing out the back, and we're mixing it up a little bit now. I think sometimes we saw Meslier go long today, try and go long into the. I think it just feels like everything we do is about getting the ball into that front four as quickly as possible, getting Firpo, Dallas up the pitch as quickly as possible. Although I don't think that quite worked as well as it probably could do, and maybe with changes. I think we've both spoken maybe about Harrison possibly converting into a left winger when Bamford's back in. Maybe James goes to the left wing. Harrison pushes on to left wing back. We've seen Marsh convert players like that before. And it might change in that kind of sense. Maybe even Shackleton might be an option on at wing back. And this is it. We might try these little bits and changes in that lot. And we might go to a back three. We might decide when Calvin's back in, okay, we only need one holding midfield. We can push on, Forshaw and Click. And that's the thing. It's very hard to say because, for starters, that team that played today isn't going to play every week, so it's hard to judge. Maybe against Villa we might drop off performance-wise and get a result. It's a very strange. I just struggle with any kind of comments that are saying, "Oh, we're definitely going down," or "We're definitely staying up after that performance." Let's just calm down a little bit. Let's calm down a little bit. We've not seen the other results yet. Burnley got hammered by Leicester, let's be honest. I know it's a 2-0, but Nick Pope was their man of the match. Let's be honest in the game. They still lost the game. Nick Pope was their man of the match. I think Leicester beat Norwich as well a couple of weeks ago, I'm pretty sure. So, look, I think in 2 games' time, it's going to be a lot easier to sort of ascertain what's going to happen. I think even maybe later than that. I think always, when you get a new manager in, you tend to either get a new manager bounce where you just, I don't know why it happens. I can't explain why it happens. People in football might be able to explain why it happens. But
Everton had it for 1 game, didn't they?
Yeah, exactly. It's one of them. If you look at Everton's first game, you think, flipping heck, under Frank Lampard, they're going to finish in the mid-table. But it's one of them, isn't it? And sometimes you can be like us, where you don't maybe get the result, but the signs are good. The signs are good, and that for me, over 11 games, if we play like that between now and the end of the season, in those last 11 games, I know you can say that for any team when they play well, we'll be okay. We will be okay, I think. I think there'll be certain teams. I think at Norwich on Sunday, if we play anything like we did today against Norwich on Sunday, they won't be able to live with us. But again, it's about playing like that now. It's about consistently being able to play like that, finding that system that works for us best. Working out that midfield balance, just little bits and pieces like that, really. And as John B says here, if they'd been involved in the Rome project, it could have been built in 1 day. But it is that, isn't it? Rome wasn't built in a day. The problem is, under Marcelo Bielsa, we were that good that first game under Marcelo Bielsa all them years ago that everyone kind of expected something like that today, I think, or at least, something like that. And to be fair, in spells today, at first 10, 20 minutes, I thought, Leicester can't get a kick here. Mm. And it was always going to naturally drop off a little bit because let's not forget, Marcelo Bielsa had 6 or 7 weeks to get this team ready.
Exactly.
I think when you bring in a high-pressing coach, it's always easier in pre-season than it is in the middle of the season to get a team to do different kind of things. It's not like, bringing in a Sam Allardyce where it's just pretty basic tactics you're trying. We're trying quite complex stuff here, but yeah, look, it's Tashin Reckner says as well, spot on too.
Yeah, that's it, isn't it? That's what the game comes down to. We didn't take our chances, but the performance was a lot better. And I think I've seen a lot of people in the chat talking about Rodrigo, some saying he's good, some saying he's bad. I'm going to set my stall out now, and this goes for all the players. We've had a change of manager, so my opinion on all the players in that squad now resets at 0. So even Tyler, players like that, who I've actively sat on here and said, I am done with it, I'm done with it. He's so unlucky today, bless him. He's come on and then blown his hamstring out about 2 minutes afterwards. That's just Leeds United's luck this season. So, but they all reset at 0. So let's see what they're going to offer the new manager in this new way of playing. And you never know, Tyler might absolutely fit this style. And all of a sudden, we've got an absolute rocket on our hands. Who knows? So I'm going to wait and see how we get on over the next couple of games, and then start probably being a right judgy bastard again after that. But
I agree, though. I agree. I think it'll be the same. I reckon, Marsh will have probably said something like that to the players, that everyone starts at 0, and that's the way it should be. The way it should be, It is. You've got to go off what the players are doing right now, really. And I've got to say, the back four today, Harvey Barnes aside, I thought we dealt with things well. It did worry me a little bit at the start with Jamie Vardy. I thought he was obviously, he's a streetwise player, Jamie Vardy, isn't he? He's a superb striker. He's not particularly brilliant to watch, but he's just so clever and just little nice bits and pieces off him.
There's a lot of players out there that we as fans don't like because they're a shithouse. I like Vardy. I think he's the right type of shithouse. And he's a cracking player. And he stands on the shoulder of the defender. And every time they break the ball down and win it, he's gone. And even at 32 now, I think Vardy is, the pace is still there. But I thought we handled him pretty well. I think Ayling's game was a bit of a mixed bag. He looked dodgy at times, but he's adapting like all of them. And he's, again, playing at his non-preferred position now at centre-back. So, again, I'll give him benefit of the doubt. There was some good stuff from Ayling today. I thought passing out from the back was better from Luke today, definitely. Trying to find that ball straight through the middle, finding one of the more forward-thinking players. And you're up against Harvey Barnes and Jamie Vardy and others. You've got to give them some credit as well. They are good footballers. We obviously look at it from a Leeds point of view, but I've got 2 words about VAR, ROM HC, however it's spelled. Absolute bollocks. There you go. There's 2 words on VAR. Absolutely shocking.
I'd probably put something in between the absolute and the bollocks, to be honest with you. And it starts with an F and ends in King, to be fair. But yeah, look, it's a nonsense, isn't it, VAR now? You look at it, it's just getting beyond the joke. It's not football. Just all this, I think the way that penalty got disallowed was because if it's not clear and obvious. I mean, what's the point of VAR if you've got the software or footage or whatever in front of you and you're still coming to the wrong decision because technically it's not clear? I mean, it doesn't make sense. If it looks like it's a penalty and it is a penalty, give the penalty, It's beyond me. At least be consistent about it.
There's absolutely no difference between the Rudiger challenge that Click made and the one that Soyuncu made on Rodrigo today. Absolutely no difference. But one's given. Strangely enough, it's a big 6 club, and today's isn't. It's an absolute farce. There's no denying that.
No, totally that. But look, we move on. Hoping results do go for us. Obviously, there's some big ones going on today, but in terms of like star man today, CK, what are you kind of thinking for Leeds? I mean, there's a lot of good different individual performances, and just to say, I think Pascal's going to be up there for me because you consider the fact that the whole defensive line was high. It was high up the pitch, and you're thinking when you got someone like Jamie Vardy running behind you, you're thinking the temptation for all four of them defenders must be, I'm getting well back here. But they didn't.
Yeah.
Mentality-wise, Marsh has obviously instilled into him, you know what? If a man runs off you, he runs off you, but you stay as a unit. And you saw that today. We made it as hard as possible for Leicester. And I think Pascal was a big part of that. I think really second half especially, he did a really good job. And Mark, okay, deal. In June, if we stay up, I'll do that. That's a deal. You can quote me on that, I'll do that.
I think for me, mate, first half, Dan James, I thought was our best player. I thought he was electric first half. Second half, I'd probably go for Pascal. I thought he did a really good job. Like I say, centre-backs don't like having players running behind them. And Vardy will run you all day long. And I thought Pascal, especially getting booked early doors as well, I thought he coped with that really well. So I think Pascal's going to be a big part of Jesse Marsh's Leeds United moving forward. Because again, we know that Jesse likes young players. He's not necessarily a fan of older players. He likes experience. I think there's a difference between experience and old. But he likes to build around young players. So I expect Pascal to be a massive part of this team moving forward. I think he'll potentially build that defence around Pascal moving forward.
I think obviously what I really liked about Jesse's interview before the game was obviously talking about people like Charlie Creswell, Joffrey, Lewis Bates, I think was mentioned as well. He's talking about these players and you look at it and think, you know what, if Charlie Creswell can develop, there's a couple of comments coming in, in terms of Charlie Creswell, he could be perfect for that role. And I think we need to mention as well, obviously, it's been mentioned, why do people talk about the hat, by the way? People moan about the hat. Why do you want me to wear the hat all of a sudden? Why? There's nothing wrong. People change their tune very easily on this chat sometimes. But anyway, if we put the hat on, it'd be like, why have you got the hat on? But look, there's a lot of different options now, in terms of we are probably going to be more willing to start, the younger players, the less experienced players and that lot. And, let's see how that plays out. But yeah, I'm trying to remember what point I was going to make, actually, to be totally honest. Yeah. But let's just talk about the goal then. Let's talk about the goal. We haven't really spoken about it. A couple of criticisms about Melié's positioning on it. Where do you stand on that one, CK?
I don't know, mate. You can always pick out of most goals that are scored at any level, you can normally pick out one or two things that could have been done differently. But sometimes you've also got to say it's a good strike into the bottom corner. It's the difference between the nenext time Harvey Barnes tries that, Luke Ayling blocks it because it goes under Ayling's leg. It's just small margins, and today we've been on the wrong side of the small margins. I'll tell you what, mate. All right, we'll just pack up and go home then. That's it. Season over.
We're not even in the bottom three yet, or we might not even be by the end of today. We're not in the bottom three. This is the point we've got to make. We've not actually been in the bottom three all season. This is the mad thing about it. Look, it's not a great situation we're in at this moment in time, but yeah, it's one of them. It's one of them. But I think the thing with the goal is that if Melié's in top form, I don't think anyone's talking about Melié's position in there. I think it's just the fact he's in bad form. We're all of a sudden we're picking out everything about the positioning and all this lot, in terms of individuals, and that's only natural, isn't it? It's only natural. I'm not having to go at anyone for that. I think it's just the fact that when someone's not playing so well, you pick up certain things that are probably still there even when they're playing well. But yeah, look, I think in terms of even distribution, Melié was much better today. I didn't see any big errors, and that might be more down to Marsh, allowing us to.
I think, like you said, mate, it's a case of he's clearly been told that he can mix it up, and even when we've seen Melié go long in the past, it's not been going long; it's been chipping it out to either a wing or even straight down the middle at times. Whereas today, a few times he just put his foot through it and got it up to halfway. And again, even if we don't win the first ball, while that ball's travelling, we've reset and we're ready to press if obviously we don't come away with the ball. So you've got to look at it, like we say, from a tactical point of view and how things have changed. And I think Melié will have more confidence moving forward. He hasn't taken an absolute battering in net today, which he has done for 3 years, he's just been very good at shot stopping a lot of the time, up until recently, where I think he's had a bit of a crash of confidence because he's had no defence in front of him. But he's always, even in games we've won, had at least 3 or 4 pretty good saves to make. And today he's had very, very little to do. So again, that's a positive moving forward. You can see Marsh's way of working and his mentality already taking effect. So yeah, it's positives. It's sad that we lost. I thought we probably on that over 90 minutes deserved a win, but we definitely deserved a draw. Again, fine margins and bad decisions from officials. Nothing new there. It is what it is. We've just got to be noisy and loud and rock Ellen Road on Thursday night against Villa. And make sure the manager knows that even with all the noise online, that the fans in the ground are 100% behind him and the boys. And we get after Villa. And if we set up like we did today and we're at a similar standard, then we've got every chance against Villa of getting something.
No, I totally agree. And look, it is the best we've pressed for months. I do definitely agree with that. Luke, we forced a lot of situations. And just before we sign off, I reckon, 𝐶𝐾, I think we're coming up to half an hour now. The 3 o'clock games are upon us. I'm sure people will want to keep up with those as well. Diego Llorente obviously wasn't involved at all today. I mean, it looks... The defence looked a bit different. I think my criticism of Llorente in recent weeks has been his tendency to give away free kicks and sometimes dive in, or sometimes... Yeah, just little bits and pieces like that. And Llorente's not the only one who's done that. But I thought that our intelligence today, our game intelligence was just much better today. We didn't gift Leicester anything, I didn't feel, which is, again, it might seem a little thing to say, but you look at the whole season, really, we've had that tendency where teams haven't really had... I've always said, in the last couple of weeks, we've been easy to play against. It's the worst thing you can possibly be as a football team. It's be told you're easy to play against, where the body language of the team you're playing against looks relaxed. Tottenham looks relaxed from the first minute against us at Ellen Road. That's the worst thing you can get told. There is no way Brendan Rodgers is going into that Leicester dressing room and is saying anything other than, got away with one there today, lads, didn't we? You know what I mean? It's that Eddie Hearn thing, isn't it? It's like, how the fuck did you fluke that one? People know what I'm talking about. It's that little like Eddie Hearn meme, isn't it? It's I just don't know. I just don't know how we've not got anything from the game. But yeah,
I don't think we missed Llorente that much today. However, like I've said about the other players, he starts on 0, and maybe with Marsh's more compact way of playing, with someone holding a bit deeper in front of Llorente, we might start to see the Llorente of the back end of last season, where we were all lauding him, going, "Oof, absolute Rolls Royce of a centre back." And then this year, we've seen the absolute larder of a centre back, just being an absolute lunatic. So hopefully, if Marsh sees him right and brings him back in, then we see a more calm. Because again, we know he's got it in his locker to help us unlock teams and transition. We've seen him do it, but he's been really erratic recently and trying stupid stuff. So if Marsh gets a grip of him, pick your moments when to hit that Hollywood ball, stand strong, no diving in, don't be stupid, stop arm wrestling the man or having him round the neck and go for the ball, play the ball, then, we might see a different Diego again. So, however, I'm quite happy for 𝐾𝐲 to drop back in there as well. I think he's looked really good recently, definitely more like the player we thought we were signing. So there's lots of positives, mate, for me, and we'll see.
Absolutely. I just think the general idea of what we're going to try and do under Jesse Marsh is get the ball into that front 4, front 3, whatever it is, as quickly as possible, but with as little risk as possible. Yeah. We're not trying something. And that's the thing I think Llorente's got to find, is that little balance between opening stuff up when it's on and keeping the ball when it's not on. I think it's just that little bit of balance between the two. And I think this season he's not quite got that balance right. Last season, spot on. And look, we know Calvin's the master of that. You've said yourself, mate. With Calvin, when it takes 2 or 3 passes to get the ball into the wide players, with Calvin, it's one large scoop onto either wing.
Yeah, one other thing that caught my eye today was second half. Leicester broke on us 4-on-3, and I saw what we saw in the early days of Bielsa. The desires back in those players, they were absolutely flying back, and they harassed Leicester off the ball. We all remember the 7-on-1 from Bielsa's first season, where they all went flying back like the year 11s had just stole the football.
With the Attenborough commentary as well, it's best.
Yeah. So we're seeing players again who clearly have been reinvigorated, have heard a different voice. So hopefully the players take the positives from that today, and we take it into Villa and just be a bit. If we're a bit more clinical versus Villa, we'll win that game.
Yeah, I agree, and I think, mate, we'll lead it on this: performance up, morale up. Sorry, keep that up, and LUFC will be fine. I totally agree with that. I think that's the vibe we've gone with. And yeah, look, we'll move on to the game on Thursday night. 2 big home games coming up. No one's going to enjoy coming to Ellen Road. I think we're in a better position. Let's hope Norwich Brentford, something can go for us in that game. And yeah, I think we'll leave it there anyway, guys. Make sure you hit that subscribe button if you haven't done already. Smash the like button as well. As I said, this camera has been shaking around like I don't know. I've got no stand with me. I'm on holiday at this moment in time, guys. I've shown commitment to the cause filming as well. So before any of you have a go at me, I've shown commitment to the cause. My Wi-Fi is the best it's ever been. So yeah, that's make of that what you will. Big thanks, John, man, for watching as always. Luke from the States as well. And yeah, great start for Jesse Marsh, just not the result. But we will move on. Well, not great start, but you know what I mean, guys. We'll leave it there anyway. See you later. We'll have a pre-matches for the Villa game, all that other bits and pieces. I'm back on from holiday as well, so the usual content will be back on as well. So see you later, guys. Thanks for watching.